Good afternoon, dear farmers, and welcome to my channel. I'm Sticks at 4444, the Precision Farmer. Welcome back to my channel. I've just been giving you hints and tips on how to increase the yield of any of your crops that you might be growing at a specific time. And in this particular video, my focus is on how I use the Venturi fertigation system to apply precisely the fertilizer in liquid form for the plant to immediately absorb, right, the fertilizer and use it. So by so doing, I double the yield, I increase the yield. And my main focus in these videos is how precision farming can double, treble, or quadruple your yield. It's something that is very possible. And let me start by just giving you an introduction to how plants respond to either the climatic conditions around us, what we do to them, right? I want to believe that we all know that plants are living things. We have learned that in science, right? And because they are living things, which means to say that they actually have a system of behavior that all living things do, right? And this is one very amazing thing which I would want to share with you, right? Which makes fertigation the best way to increase yield ever. I'll be comparing precision farming through fertigation versus the old traditional farming. So to start with, I want to show you how plants react to the environment, to what we do, or to the weather conditions around them, right? And maybe before I do that, let me show you the instruments that I use. Simple instruments from my from ordinary life. This is a 210 drum. And this is the drum that I use to mix my fertilizers and supply them, right? And on this, just further down here, is my Venturi fertigation system, right? If you want more information on how it works or where you can get it, you can DM me. As you can see here, right, this is the suction point, right? And water is coming from the from my borehole from this side, right? And then it's supposed to go to the plants this side. So what I do is I place my fertilizers in here, and then through a suction pipe, I draw the fertilizer into the main line. And as you can see here, I can open, right, this valve and then start irrigating my tomatoes here. And then the suction pipe will be sucking from this drum into the farm. It takes about 30 minutes to empty this. And this is a water-soluble fertilizer, right, that I'm giving direct to the plant roots. What it means is it's going to be absorbed immediately within a space of 30 more minutes after the reception of the first fertilizer. Much of the fertilizer is absorbed, right? I'm going to show you verified research information that proves that 85% of fertilizer that is applied to the plants through the fertigation system is absorbed by the plants, as opposed to granular application, which can be around 35%. The rest goes down by seepage, right? So already there you can see that precision farming through fertigation helps to increase the yield because the plant gets 85% of the fertilizer that you are using, that you are supplying to it, right? While we are still there, I've also noticed that, I think we all know, maybe through these scientific terms, geotropism, that roots move towards where there's water, right? Something like that, right? But I also want to say, roots don't just move towards where there is water, they also move towards where there is food. Roots smell where food is and they go there. So because of that principle, right, we take advantage of that principle, and then as we plant our seeds, our plants, we don't just make make it anyway anyhow. We make ridges, right? And these ridges, we open the soil 30 centimeters wide and about 20 centimeters deep. Then we put chicken manure, right? Rotten chicken manure, compost, right? In there. And then we cover to around 15 centimeters. And then we put more soil, about 10 centimeters on top. Then we plant. From the perspective, from the principle that roots will go where food is, what I discovered is that most of the roots, when the plant grows in that environment where there is manure, they rarely go beyond where the manure is, right? And as a result of that, all the roots are held up in the manure, right? And so when I supply the fertilizers through the fertigation system to the root zone, roots are concentrated in the area where there is manure, right? And so they don't go beyond that. So all the roots, fibrous roots, are concentrated there, so they are ready to absorb all the fertilizer that I will supply them, and very little go unserved, right? And that's why it goes without question that about 85% of that fertilizer is absorbed by the plant. And you can imagine, at a rate of 85% absorption of fertilizer, what yield do you expect? If you use the granular, only 35% of the fertilizer applied is used. So what yield do you expect from there? I think, statistically speaking, you can tell how fertigation actually doubles the yield, right? Now, the second thing that I want you to note is, with Tilka, I have observed a very interesting characteristic which I want to share with you. If you give Tilka fertilizer on a regular basis, which is another principle that plants work with because they are living things. When the plants realize that we get food on a regular basis, they also prime their produce on a regular basis. Come with me to ordinary plants. Mangoes, for example, I think you can see a lot of mangoes here. I think you agree with me that at the first initiation of flowers, the mango tree produces thousands and thousands of flowers. But within a short space of time, it starts dropping some flowers. Of course, from a scientific perspective, some flowers drop because of lack of pollination. Maybe the pollination doesn't take place, so the flowers drop, right? Again, some flowers drop when the temperatures are excessive. You know, pollen, the pollen doesn't survive the heat. So it melts and then pollination doesn't take place. However, some fruits also fall because the plant will have to evaluate whether there is enough food to feed all the thousands of plants it has. So it's some kind of a family planning of some sort, where it gauges how much it should keep and how much it should let go. And from that principle, let's just imagine the plant realizes that there is food coming every Wednesday in form of nitrogen, in form of potassium, in form of calcium, in form of phosphorus. And then they are conditioned to that belief, right? What it means is, if they produce thousands of flowers, they will not drop them because they are aware that we can feed these ones to the maximum that we want. In other words, what I'm simply saying is, as a precision farmer, you can actually target the yield that you want and supply the food to the plant to an excess that you get exactly the yield that you want. Come with me to this plant here. This is Tiruka, as I've already informed you, and you can notice the flower nodes right here. What it means is this Tiruka has got a habit of producing a cluster of seven fruits. You have one, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This one has got 8. You see, this cluster is 8. And if you feed it properly, you have a cluster here, and the second leaf node there's a cluster, the third leaf node there's a cluster, the fourth leaf node there's a cluster, right? So what it then means is, if there's consistent supply of fertilizer, the plant gets conditioned to the fact that we will have enough to feed our children, our fruits. So it continues to produce, it continues to produce. But if it discovered that there's no consistency, one of the reasons that it drops flowers, beside, right, excessive heat or other climatic conditions, right, then if there's not enough food as well, the plant will drop some fruits as well. So what I've noticed is, when you supply Tiruka with all the nutrients, micro and macro, through the drip system, and you target your yield, and you constantly supply the enough fertilizer, of course, we're talking about all the agronomic conditions being met. You are also supplying chemicals to counter the pests, to counter the diseases. Everything is done perfectly. You definitely get the high yield, right, that you might want, right? So what am I talking about? What I am talking about is this, that as a farmer, through precision farming, you can target a specific yield that you desire, and then practice all agronomic practices that make the yield high. Plus, on top of that, you use the fertigation system. You are conditioning the plant to the fact that it will get nutrients on a weekly basis. Then you are telling the crop that you will reliably help the plant to keep the fruits that it can produce. The plant will give you exactly as you will have projected. And this is, again, one very good method of doubling the yield, right? This, I've done it, and like I said before, if you check on the leaflet that for Syngenta about Tiruka, you will notice that they will tell you that Tiruka produces a fruit that is 100 grams, right? But I have managed to produce a fruit from Tiruka from the 7 clusters. At times it goes to 15 per cluster, 7 per cluster, 15 a cluster. If the fertilizers are consistent and they're coming regularly, I've produced 15. Out of those 15, you will see that about 13 weigh 250 grams. We are saying we raise through fertigation the size of the tomato from 100 grams to 250 grams. You can say how much, what percentage it is. So we are talking here about how we can double the yield, treble the yield, quadruple the yield, right, through precision farming, and get the highest possible yield as you that you can ever imagine. Okay, so this is another method that we can use in order to double, treble, or quadruple our yield as farmers. At times when you think about these things, you may say it's expensive. But if you think precision farming is expensive, right? When it gives you maybe trebled the number of yield, the amount of yield that you can make, then you need to really rethink what it is that can do better to produce better yield than precision farming, than fertigation. Thank you so much. Meet me in the next video. In the next video, I'm going to talk more about how you can keep your crops robust in excessive heat. How can you keep your plants robust in excessive heat? As you can see, my plants here, they are very robust, right? And the temperature as I'm talking is around 33, 34, right? And you can see they are very, very robust. You can see they are very, very robust. And if I can show you just a little bit, you see how wet the soil is, right? And I'll tell you the trick behind this. Thank you so much. Meet you in the next video.